Hello everyone and welcome back to PlannerApp to continue with the section of authentication. We have already in the previous session implemented the infrastructure of login, how we have created the authorization message handler, or we have set the HTTP client with its authorization message handler, and we have set the JSON Web Tokens authentication set provider to teach our Blazor application that actually, okay, if there is an access token in the local storage, then this user is logged in, which is great. Now, what you have to do, the same simulation we have done in the previous session when we went into the local storage and created that, basically, that record in the local storage. Right now, we will implement the UI so the user can log in, enter the credentials, and when we fit the token pack, all what you do is basically store the token in the local storage, and then let's call the get authentication state async to refresh the state of the application. So what we are going to do for this session is, as you can see, this is the application we have right now. But if the user is not logged in, he should be redirected directly to the login page, but he is not going to see these pages without. You're going to see a different layout, which is an empty one. Doesn't have this menu button or this nav menu at all. It will just be a card here in the middle, contain the login box, and the same for the register page. You will keep this one. So basically what we have to do is to create a different layout. This is the first step. Then we will implement the form, and then we will implement the HTTP client, the post request to be able to fetch the data from. If you go back to the API documentation again, to make sure always you are under version 2 because to send this request for here. So let's go ahead and get started with this. But before, let me go to get cracking, and then let's basically stage all those changes that we have over here and push them. Implement authentication infrastructure, just like this. Let's click push. Okay, I'll click force push because I already made a little change, but okay, right now we are fine. Okay, that's good. So this is the main layout that I was talking about, basically. Let me just comment this one. So we are not going to use this, something similar, but as I've said, it's not going to contain that left menu, nav menu with that drawer that opens and closed, and at the same time, we are going to have the mat bar will not contain the menu icon. So let's get started by going to shared, click on add Blazor component, and then from here choose, let's call it Auth layout. Keep the name, the old name. Okay, here it is. So basically to create a layout is a normal component, but what is featured about it is that it has the property called body, which is the body of that layout. So here it should inherits like this from layout component base. So right now it's a layout and could be used as a layout. Let me go for this one, copy all of this until this one. We're not going to show any dialogues or snack bar, which is that toast shows at the top corner. We are going to use it. So we will have just the theme provider. We will use it for the dark and light mode later on. So this one without this icon, and we will keep this one. I will make it for now just the PlannerApp, but we will put the logo later on. I will do the same over here. And we will remove this mud drawer from this one, just like that. Cool. And we will keep those buttons because we are going to add like switch from dark to light mode and maybe switch languages. We will see what we are going to implement. So that's good. Now the last thing we have to do is, I don't want this layout to take the full page. I will just need a card in the middle with a little shadow. So to do this, we are going to use the powerful grid within Blazor. So if you go for grid over here, where is it? Here it is. You can see that they have a very powerful grid. So it could be used just like this, mod grid, mod item. So this is the full grid and this is the item. Then you can give it like on the small screen, it's like this. On the extra small screen, it's like this, and so on. So you can take a look at this. So to learn all the stuff. And regarding that card, you will use a powerful another component called paper, which is this one. You can see this paper, and then within this paper you can put just simply whatever you want, or you can use the card. Okay, the difference between the card and the paper is just the card has a title and an action bar and a content, while the mud paper is just like a box with a shadow. So this is it. I think we can use a card over here, but yeah, let's first start with the design. So I will add mud grid like this. But because I need the content to be in the center, the columns to be in the center, so I will use justify, and I'll type justify dot center, just like this. Now we will add mud item. And for on the small screen, we don't need any spaces on the left side, so I will just use on the small screen, take the 12 columns, but on the medium screen, take half the space, and on the large screen, take third of the space, just like this one. And here, the body actually is going to go over here. So that's it. This is pretty simple. Now let's see if we try to add, but yeah, before doing this, I will add just a margin from the top. So margin top, or we can use MT, which is abbreviation for mtop, and use a 3. Those are a set of classes that actually already available for you by Blazor. You can take a look at them existing here. If you scroll down, there is the features, and here you can find spacing. So the reason why to use this instead of using a style, so here you are just use the name of the class which already has a specific value. So you are always consistent across the project, not sometimes to add a pixel and reduce a pixel in your styles. So if you try to use those classes as much as you can, they are very similar to the Bootstrap classes. So now for the home page, just as a test actually, to make sure that this one is working. So the home page is by default, there is no layout, as you can see. But the default layout is main layout, and that's basically defined in Blazor here in the app.razor. If you go, you can see default layout equals main layout. But if, for example, I said for the index page only, I want to use a different layout, which is Auth layout. So just use this at layout, the syntax over here, and it's going to work. So let's see how it's looking like. Yeah, Blazor increases your productivity too much, but you have always to make sure while we're doing what we are doing actually right now, always keep in mind that to focus on the Blazor concepts, to focus on the web concepts, and not to focus on Blazor stuff, because we are using here Blazor just to speed up the development and have a cool UI. But in many cases, sometimes you'll have to build your own components, your own UI. I will go in this direction. And there's going to be another series like very soon called Build the Full Custom UI Custom Components in Blazor. You will build all those components, but you have to concentrate on learning Blazor and generally the web development in general, the client-side stuff for now, and not Blazor. So don't take this grid like as something, okay, it's good, it speeds up the development as I've said, but maybe there is other UI components like and design, and there's going to be many in the future because Blazor is growing and growing. So keep the focusing on the concept of web more than those little stuff over here. So try not to be 100% tied for this. So as you can see, this one is working very fine. Like you see, it's right now in the middle on the big screen. If we go to the medium screen, so it's taking right now half. And if we go on small screen, it's going to take this one, which is exactly what you are looking for. That's great. So let's right now implement the login page. So I'll create a folder here called Auth or authentication. Let's call it authentication. And within it, I will add login.razor or just login. Okay, this is the page of login, and over here we should add layout, auth layout, and then here we should add the router of this page, which is /authentication/login. Now let me go back to the index page and remove this one, get it back to the old one, save. Okay, that's great. Now, the login component will go over here, but I will keep all the pages empty, and I will create a folder over here, and I will call this folder components. And here I will create a set of all the components available here so we can use it in other places and not to put it directly in the page. So the page will just be a container for other components. So, and over here I will create also another folder called authentication. And then here in the imports, I will reference namespace called components, only components, nothing more. Okay, good. So here there's going to be a component called login form. So this is just the form. So you can embed this component in any other page, while this one is just the page, or let's say this is the endpoint on the client side for this component. And I will create a class file, which is the code behind file, not to write the C# code within the Razor. Right now, Blazor supports the partial classes, so there is no need to mess the codes together, make a big components. Always try to keep it as small as possible. So to create that, give it the same name, loginform.razor.cs. So it's going to be attached here in the behind, and if you click F7, you can be redirected. And over here, make partial login form, and it should be inherited from component base, just like that. So in this folder, I will have components, authentication, plans, items, and so on. So to not have a namespace for each one, because you know in C#, each folder is a namespace, what I'm gonna do, I will remove this one. So I can access all those stuff by just PlannerApp.components, then I can have access for it. So this folder is just for organizing the components, especially in big projects, you will have a lot of components. So it doesn't make sense to have a namespace for each one. And over here, if I go for this one, you have always, if you remove the namespace from here, you have also to set the namespace for this Razor, because at the end, the Razor file is a class. It's just a normal C# class, like it's being translated behind the scenes into a class that actually just like the normal class you see. So namespace, its namespace is PlannerApp.components, and that's it. It's pretty simple. That's good. Great. So now, when the login form is basically is going to have a model of login request. Let me go to shared responses. Okay, we don't have right now this response, so I'm gonna go ahead and create it. So I'll click on add to this class, and then I will say, sorry, login request. So how I will know the login request? If I go over here, I can see that this is the login request. It has an email and password. So I will create that. Now, what about validation? Basically, in validation, we are going to use for this the data annotations. But I will also use the fluent validation in the register component. So in this case, for you, you choose the one that's suitable for you. Fluent validation gives you more control, gives you localization. But for some concepts, when your components are not that complicated, they don't need that very advanced validation, and you don't need localization. This one is much simpler and easy to use. And here, it is required. And string length is 6 at least, which is good. Okay, this one is also required. So for this, I will use data annotations, but for the other one, I'm going to use fluent validation, and you choose the one that suits for you. So let's save this request. And right now, that's great. Now I will switch to the code behind file. And over here, we will inject public HTTP client HTTP client. This is how we inject in the C# code. Here you know that we inject using inject keyword, but if you are in C#, you can use this one, not the constructor one. And we don't need any parameters. What we need is actually private login request. Okay, we have to mention the shared project over here, or it's and project reference shared. Okay, maybe I removed this by mistake. Good. So model, this is the model of the form. By default, it's going to be a new one. And okay, now this is just enough to design the form. Let's go ahead and start the design. So to design this form, I will put it within a card. So what is the card? This is, and I will pick, we can go ahead with this card, for example. So as you can see, or another one, we can go to form here, forms, yeah, and choose form. You can see some cool design, like look at this one. This one looks good. Maybe we can use this one, yeah. So Blazor had their own form actually called form. They have their own implementation. I'm not going to use it, as I've said, not to be tied for Blazor. We are going to use the edit form, the traditional one existing out there, but we are going to use their fields. So let's take this design as it is. So it's basically edit form. Okay, let's start first with edit form, which is the forms in Blazor. And forms always has to take a model, or you should pass something context, but we'll use the model, which is the model that this form will submit. And it is in this case model, which is this one over here. And here on valid submit, like after the user submitted this form and it's valid, there is no issues. What's going to happen? Actually, what's going to happen is to call this function private async task login user async through new not implemented exception, just for now. So login user async on valid submit. Okay, that's great. This is the form. Now we will have the validation, which is, we should type the validation, which is data annotations validator. So once you add this one, actually, then your form, before it's getting submitted, it's going to validate the content or this model that you have here against the model that's actually the type of this model. So against those annotations that's available for you over here, which is great. So after that, now let's design it, and actually let's go ahead and see what they have over here. So they have this mud card, mud content, and they are just adding this one, and then okay, I will type them so we can follow one by one. So mud card, and then it has a mud content, card content, okay, sorry, and over here it has a mud card actions, and in the mud content it has a mud text field. So that's good. So it is straightforward. Mud text field, label equals email, helper text, for example, test@PlannerApp.com, and sorry, for the helper text we should type required. For the placeholder, we will type test@PlannerApp.com, and at bind value, which is, this will bind the value of this field into the top property within this model. And this one, I'm going to say model.email. So whenever we write anything in the value of this input, this value will be bound for this email, and whenever we set a default value for this email, it's going to be shown in there. So this is a two-way data binding. And I think this is everything that we need. Now let's go ahead and create another one. Okay, just like that, but this one is going to be a password. Input type equals input type dot password. This is the only thing that you have to change. Password, helper text required. That's right. There is no need for a placeholder for the password. And let's bind this one to dot password, just like this. That's great. I think this is our form. It's going to be very simple and easy. Now, within the actions, let's put the button actually they have over here, which is this button. So I will take it to the end and I will paste it here. That's great. So this is it. Now I will call this one login. That's great. And we need actually another button. Filled the color.secondary, and this one will be create account. So this button will redirect you to the create account page, but this one will not submit the form. Okay, that's great. And let's add a mod card header. And within this header, I will go to mod card over here, and you will set this text. I'll copy it. So whenever you want to type any text, like you use mod text like this, and then you type typo dot, then here you have all the options. Yeah, Blazor is very, very organized. So okay, welcome to PlannerApp with 2.0, which is great. So we have a nice component right now. It's not functioning, but let's see how it looks like if we go to the login page over here, and I just, as you can see, all I have to do is just to say login form, and I'm done. Look at this. This is very gentle, actually, and we already have a /authentication/login for this one. So everything should be ready for us just to implement the functionality of that tick. So let's see. Here we go. Let's go to /authentication/login. Click enter. Oh, look at this. Actually, it is just great. You see that? But because here we have a placeholder, this one we don't have this animation. And actually, I'm going to do it. I will remove the placeholder. Here we didn't see that text actually. That says welcome to PlannerApp. Interesting. If we click on inspect element, why we cannot see it? Is it here somewhere? Yes, it's here, but it's empty. That's cool. If I go back, okay, mod card header, then we should add it within a header card content. Okay, that's too much. Okay, then within the mod card header, we say card header content. And then we put this one like this. Actually, if you want to switch the line, this is just a hint. Click Alt and top, bottom, or top, so you can move the line between or switch the lines, which is just a quick hint. So yeah, I think right now we are done. But here we should just also switch those buttons like this. So we need the login to be on this side and the create point on this side. Let me see. Okay, again. Here we go. Yeah, this is much better. Right now we have a need form. Yeah, again, just forget to remove the placeholder of the email because it's an email. Everyone knows what email means. And yeah, for those buttons, I still don't see them like looks that good. So actually, what I have to do over here is, let me check what they have. Yeah, I need this design. I need exactly this design. So all I have to do is, okay, cool. Let's remove this margin left auto class from here and here. Let's put this one at the top, and this one will be filled, while this one I'm not going to use filled, I'm going to use outline. Okay, that's good. So all the focus is on the login button. I think right now we are ready to go, but one more thing we need to change, which is in the body or in the auth layout. Like, I thought that it looks so big, so this is why I'm gonna make it take 3, and this one I'm going to take 4, and on the small screen let's keep it for 12, that's fine. So right now we are done from the design. Now the next step is to click the login button and then fetch the talk to the API, fetch the data, put it in the local storage, and do the magic of the login, which is okay. This is much better than what we had at the beginning, as you can see. Okay, just we add this little space over here and we are done. So, and to do that, what I'm gonna do, just type a class M1, like margin 1, or yeah, I can add margin right 1, margin left 1, sorry. Okay, so this is the space. Now we are done from the design. Everything's great. Let's go ahead and submit this to create the auth layout and the login form. And let's push. Okay, that's great. That's great. We are moving very well on a clean steps. So I hope you get the benefits out of this. And right now you know what is the auth layout, what is Blazor in text field, you know those some components existing in Blazor, and data annotations validator, and what is edit form. You're going to see the rest of this stuff in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and see you.